Yo, welcome back to the Transfer Portal CFB presented by No Context CFB. It's about time. I, myself, finally get an opportunity to speak with a football coach. About time. Coach Trickett, offense coordinator, Coastal Carolina. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Glad to be here.
Very happy to be speaking with you, one of the bright young minds in our sport, rising up the ranks. It's really fun to see. Can you just talk about a bit about your journey thus far, where you've been, some of your favorite memories, toughest moments you've had to overcome?
Sure, Liam. I'd say, growing up in this profession, I was literally born into college football. My dad's been a college football coach. He's still coaching. I mean, he turned 75. I think, no, he's 75 now. We actually play him this season. So I get to go against my dad, which will be fun. But got like to grow up around it, got to experience a lot of the great college venues across the country, really the Southeast for the most part is where our family's been. And so literally born to do this, our family's really tied deep into it. Got a lot of family members in the sport. The sport's been nothing but a blessing to the Trickett family. And so got to be around it. And dad did all he could to try to talk us out of being coaches. And he failed. So we ended up, when I told him I wanted to coach, he kind of got mad at me. He wanted to make sure that I wanted to do it for me. And it's not just what he did and all that. So kind of tried to pave my own path. Was a student assistant at West Virginia during the golden years. We had some really good players under there, Coach Rodriguez, the Pat White, Steve Slayton, all those guys. And, that's where I got my degree from. I'm a alumni from there. And when GA'd at the University of Alabama and Florida State and got my first opportunity at Sanford University, FCS school in Birmingham, Alabama. Took a chance on me, and I got to work with a guy named Brett Lashley there, and we started a friendship there, and then got to call plays at an early age, and really was a coordinator for a good few years, and kind of skipped over that being assistant. I was a GA student coach, GA assistant for 1 year, then coordinator. And so I had to kind of learn. It was great. The experience at Sanford was great because I kind of had to learn at that spot and do it on my own and figured the highs and lows on my own there without, being in some of there's coordinators at 28 years old, 29 years old nowadays, Power Five. I didn't have to deal with all that, just, that spotlight and everything that comes with it. So got to kind of be a part of that league, which is awesome experience, relationships that last a lifetime. And couple of spots from here and there as we went. I got to go back and do a kind of bucket list job at West Virginia, be an assistant there. Gave up coordinating to go back to my alma mater. It was always a dream to coach for my school, my wife's alma mater. Where my dad coached, and my family's from West Virginia, so got to do that. And I was good with giving up coordinating to go do that. That was something that we just always wanted to make sure we did and give back because that university gave so much to us. And then the opportunity to be a coordinator again came back up. And so I took it. And, so the journey has been crazy, but, really excited to be here at Coastal Carolina. We got a great setup here. The previous staff did a great job as far as building this program to where it's at. They only had 4 head coaches in its young existence as a program. And Coach Beck's been phenomenal, great resource for me. We got great players. So really excited about this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, so when I saw that your dad was still coaching, I saw it the other day. I was like shocked by that. But like you said, you guys play your dad this season, you play his team that he's coached for. Also, your brother, Clint, at Marshall, a division rival. Unreal. It's unreal.
It is. It is. It's kind of funny how this all works out. So the summer vacation when we're all together at the beach was kind of like you can't really just talk openly like before. It's like, oh, how's it going for you? Oh, it's going all right. How about you? Oh, it's okay. Before you just talk X's and O's or whatever you want to do, but now everyone's a little more guarded with their information. So, but it's fun. I cheer on them. Obviously, when we play each other, we're all going to want to win. I don't think my mom's going to come to the games probably because it's too much for her. But yeah, we'll see who the favorites are, how she reacts to wins and losses on those ones. But no, it's a really neat experience. I love the Sun Belt. I got to coach at Georgia State at one point in time for Sean Elliott. I was on his first staff, and so I have fond memories of that place and get to coach them or coach against them this year. And they're in the division as well. So It's just really neat. When I was a student coach at West Virginia, Butch Jones was an assistant, and he's at Arkansas State, so I get to coach against him this year. And there's just a lot of ties, and so it's fun. This game takes you crazy places, and the way it's all unfolded has been really neat. And again, I thank my blessings every day to be able to be in this position. So I'm excited about the season, though. It's gonna be fun.
I'm also really excited about the season, but I wanted to bring up your younger brother's also a scout for the Rams, right? So
Correct.
like what happened there? Why is he a scout? Why is he not coaching?
Well, when he thought he wanted to coach, and then when he was an undergrad, because that's what I did, and so Clint, the youngest one, was the only one good enough to actually play Division I college football. The rest of us would have to go to like D3 or anything like that. But Clint actually was the quarterback, got to go play. But Chance, he thought he wanted to coach, and he one night the power went out of the house. He was still living at home when in college, and Dad woke up on time, and he didn't go upstairs and wake Chance up. He just went to work, and Chance rolled in late to the meeting, and he said, "No," he locked him out the meeting, and he made it. And if you were late back then, you had to put a weighted vest on. You had to go do the stadium steps at Mountaineer Field, and so for being late to the meeting as a student coach, he had to go do that. I think he decided, yeah, I'm good. I don't need all this, and he found his way in the personnel aspect. He started off in the recruiting. Volunteered at Florida State, became director of recruiting at La Tech under Skip Holtz, and then and started doing the Phil Savage Senior Bowl scouting development programs there, and ended up getting an internship with the Rams and worked his way up from the ground up. And now he's an area scout and trying to make his way up in that field in the NFL in the front office um, uh, area. So, like I said, it's been neat. We all like the game again. It's just the game. The game's so fun and it's so humbling, and there's a lot of different aspects to it. So for him, he didn't care so much about the X's and O's part. He was more worried about not how the pieces fit on the puzzle, but like the actual pieces of the puzzle themselves. That's what he was really interested in. So and he's been very successful at it. So it's been neat to have that because it helps me as a coach. People say like y'all want to go to the NFL. Like I know exactly what they're looking for, everything, and how they look for it, and what's required. So it's been good feedback for us too, and for me to know, things that I can help our guys show and do to translate to the next level.
I know he could be very successful as a scout if he just watches some Coastal, some Marshall, some of that good talent in the Sun Belt. But I wanted to ask you, you've been able to work, like you've been blessed to work with some outstanding players in your young career thus far. Who stands out to you the most, though?
Ooh, you're asking me like pick a favorite child. Every spot has great young men and great players, and it's crazy. Like, and now I'm at the age now where like one of my best players I've ever had at receiver, one of my first receivers I ever when I was an OC back at 28 years old, or I was 27 or 28, and at Sanford is now the receivers coach at Tennessee, Kelsey Pope. And so, I'm in it that long now. I'm kind of getting to that age where, I'm 39. And so still I like consider myself young, but it's not in this profession, who knows? But, every spot's got like the best thing about the sport, why we do what we do is we get in the sport to compete initially. And then you learn that if you stay in the sport, you love teaching, but then as you stay the sport even longer, there's highs and lows because the wins and losses they come, and sometimes you obviously more wins than losses, and then when losses hit, they hit. But what keeps you from going insane and not just being result driven is the relationships that you have with these guys, and the relationships that you have with them while they're here, the relationships that you have with them for the rest of life. If you coach players in college, you are tied to them for the rest of your life and the rest of their lives. Like whatever, like you are a mentor, and that's something I don't take lightly. That's something like anybody that's ever played for me, I'll always, if they call, I'll always answer, and that's very important to me, And so it's you know, all my guys I love. I've only been here for a short time, and here at Coach, like our quarterback room's been a blast. Obviously, we got Grayson, who's I can't wait to be game day with him. He's the ultra competitor. He's a guy that even in practice you're like no 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 yes good job all right hey you're kind of like why are you throwing it there okay touchdown all right cool good job it's like and he looks at and he's been a blast. But even the rest of the guys on the roster, the Jared Guess and our new additions with Ethan Vasco and Blake Boat, like those guys, they're just so fun. So I'm really, really enjoying coming to work every day. I wake up and when I come to that meeting room, it's a blast. And that's how most of my experience has been. That's how all my experience has been with every place I've been. And we've all had knuckleheads, but sometimes those knuckleheads you get closer to than anybody else. But yeah, that's why we do what we do every day.
So maybe this one could be easier for you to answer about picking one guy or maybe two. The best player that you've ever had to coach against and how hard it was to like scheme against them and overcome that talent.
Hmm. There's been a few. There's been a few guys that you're like, well, you can't throw it over there. The one that just burns in my head. Georgia Southern had a defensive lineman. I'd have to pull up my phone and look it up. I can't believe I'm forgetting it. Because it was number 66. His nickname was Man Bear Pig. He was a defensive lineman from Georgia Southern, number 66, and he was first team All Sun Belt, defensive player, all that. I can't remember top of my mind. It was like 2012, 13. And you want to talk about trying to block that cat? My goodness. And they had a great D line too. Uh, but he was extremely hard to go against. And I can like every year there's somebody you're like, golly, when is this guy going to graduate? But that's the good thing. Some people, when you're in Sun Belt, you go against some guys and you always remember them and you respect them. You see how their career goes. Like, a guy that we compete against, he was a quarterback though. Jacob Huseman at UT Chattanooga was Player of the Year. He's a coach now. He was one of our graduate assistants at Georgia State and did a great job for us. And he's a successful coach. And or he was at Chattanooga. He may be at Richmond now. I can't remember off the top of my head. His younger brother actually is a pitcher here for Coastal Carolina, which is neat. But every stop that you go to, like there's going to be somebody that you're going to go against that you're always going to remember because you had to spend the entire week of like, how are we going to handle this guy?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a few of them. And yeah, like I'd have to go back. Like, there's just so many of them. They just all run together. I could say jersey number so and so for Oklahoma State, jersey so number for Oklahoma. Like you could just roll through it off the top of your head. But yeah, that's a beautiful thing about college football, man. You always remember those games where you had to like, all right, we got to go against like this. What we got a guy like this who could hurt us. How we manage that.
2012 Georgia Southern, I remember Jarek McKinnon was on that team playing
Correct.
the old
Yep.
quarterback. I want to talk about Grayson though. What's it like coaching this kid? What are your expectations for him in the fall and maybe beyond? I've been a big fan of Grayson's for a while. I've been fortunate enough to speak with him for our outlet twice now, and I'm a big believer in that kid as like an NFL quarterback. I think he belongs in that league for years to come. What's it been like just cooking with him?
Yeah, it's again, previous staff did a great job developing him and bringing him along. Like his stat line when I got here, and when he said he was coming back, I'm like, well, 8 interceptions only in 3 years. I'm like, buddy, I gotta make sure I don't screw this up. But he is such a great young man. I think again, what his experiences here under Coach Chadwell and Coach Corn helped mold him into who he is today. Obviously, he was raised right, and he's got all those intangibles, And so my experience with him here in this short amount of time has been nothing but awesome. Ultra competitor, hard headed when you need a guy to be hard headed, tough when you need a guy to be tough, understanding, very wants to be coached, wants to be coached hard, um, wants to hold guys' high standards. He's everything you could want. And I agree with you. Like he has some traits that you don't understand. Like if you just watch the game film, you think, okay, yes, he's very accurate. Yes, he's tough. Yes, he's got very good pocket movement. But then when you get in the weeds with him and you see his processing information from snap to decision, and how he can get through what he needs to get through, and just to be able to control and recall and know where he wants to go with his eyes, and make that decision and make the accuracy throw with it. Like it's probably the best I've been around. I mean, it's pretty gosh darn special. So he's a blast. I mean, he really is. It's my number one job is to make sure that we have the tools around him that we have, and we use those to whatever, like I said, to maximize his talent. And I do agree that he can play in the NFL because he can handle the pocket. He's very accurate. He's his ability to process information and regurgitates extremely high on the field. And he'll be a guy that I think, and he's big. Like everyone don't. I mean, he is a big individual. He's got great size, and some people want to talk about arm strength. He's got plenty of arm. Like there's throws that he's roping in there. Sometimes that's more of a feet thing than just arm. Some guys got some really, like they got howitzers, and you can just stay here, and then yeah, your feet don't have to be great, and you rip it. But for him, for what he's done from a fundamental standpoint to improve since January on some of his feet things to generate power from the ground up has really helped a lot of his throws. And they were on display on some other throws too. But now it's just when he gets to other kind of throws, you just got to keep doing the same things. And he's taken a very conscious step in that and has done it. So I look forward to him having a great senior year here, and then taking his career on to the next level after this.
Yeah, one throw that always comes to mind is when they were playing Georgia Southern, that he was on his own like 45, 50-ish seconds left. They're down two, throws an absolute rope. Safety's coming over too, so it ends up being like fit right between the corner and the safety coming over. Precise throw, just absolute precision. The
Yep.
kid's a wizard. I call him a wizard. The stuff he does is truly magical. Finally, though, let's talk about some of the pieces on this offense. Like one guy that consistently I swear I might be a bigger fan of him than anyone else in the country is Jared Brown. Maybe you guys in house are higher on him than me, but let's talk about Jared Brown, what he could bring to the table. That kid goes 0 to 100 quicker than a Lambo.
He does. He is again, one of those guys that they found here that went to a predominant high school in Georgia, and that a lot of people, it's not like a school that's hidden. Like it's a school that, like Parkview, like a lot of people go through there. They've got a lot of players from out Parkview, and to pull him out of there to here was a great evaluation, and phenomenal young man. Practices extremely hard, very coachable. This has been a fun for him transition because some of the route things that we ask him to do and route plans and decisions you have to make based on coverage and like, hey, if I'm running this route, I want to run it this way versus zone, but with this man, I need to make it look like this to do this. And if he's inside leverage, I need to do this. If he's outside leverage, just true route plans to get open, right? And so we got here in spring, he was pretty raw in that area, and that's just because he was a young player. It had nothing to do with the previous offense he was in. It was just young guy, and he's really worked hard on that this off season. And so he's taken steps forward in that, and it's fun to watch that growth because it's going to be exponential with him. And practices hard, got really good ball skills, and is growing up kind of before your eyes in a lot of aspects from young man to man. And so it's fun to be on that journey with him. But yeah, he's one. I think a guy that helps him too is Sam Pinkney, who you'll probably talk about in a bit. I was at Georgia State when we signed Sam. So we recruited Sam out of high school where I was at before Georgia State. So I knew his family, knew his mom, at that time girlfriend, now wife. And so when I got here, it was fun to see an old face, and just gave him a big old hug, and but his leadership and what he brings to the table, not only as a player, but his habits daily, has really, poured over into that receiver room. And a lot of guys like Jared and other guys are, he's a great example to have there, especially for young guys, how to work and how to do things. And so, and Coach Parks, our receivers coach, has done a great job. Both of them, like I said, he's the one that's kind of helped Jared along. So, big agree. Yes, I mean, really good tool. I mean, really good weapon. Excited for what he's going to do this year. He's one of those guys that gets a spot on the playbook on the call sheet that says 14 and plays of how to get the ball to him. Like, how many people may get that spot on the call sheet, but he does.
That's good to hear, man. I'm gonna keep trying to warn people about what's to come with Jared Brown and Sam too. Like having those two guys at a group of five, what a blessing. I spoke to Grayson about the offense a little bit, and he said there's gonna still be some pieces of what Chadwell implemented, but you're gonna see a lot of new stuff with you and Beck. What can we expect to see if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we're gonna take advantage of what we do best. Like one thing, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And our offline coach has done some of the option stuff before. I've done more of the zone option a little bit, but not to the level that Coach Chadwell and them have done before. And so really watched and studied the last 3 years of their offense. And because I'm looking at players like, Braden Bennett averages like 8.8 yards a carry, and Grace like 77 or 78 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And okay, Jared Brown's freshman of the year. What did they do well? And let's make sure we continue to do what they do well. All right. Don't try to take a square peg and fit into a round hole. And so really dove deep into some of the things that they've done that they were successful with and how it fits with what we want to do and be and but still be able, like, again, have that threat and grace and the ability, take advantage of his ability to run and do those things, but also keep him healthy, right? So it's that balance of like, hey, do this and then but also have somewhere it's protected and somewhere, hey, when this is going to be really good for them and let's ride. So it'll be a fun offense. Like I think we will present some problems for some defenses when it comes to like what we have the ability to do with who we have. Um, and it's both run game and pass game. And so and it all starts with the offensive line. Our offensive line's done a great job since we've been here. Coach Wareheim does a great job getting those guys ready. So yeah, it's and only I guess you'll have to see it. Like there'll be some flavor of what it's been, and there'll be some flavor of what what we'll bring to the table too. But the biggest thing is it's players, not plays. Like what do our players do best, and let's make sure we get them doing what they do best. So if there's a guy that's really good between tackles, let him ride between the tackles. There's a guy that's really good in space, let's get him in space. Guy really good down the field, just get him down the field, and that's where good offenses are. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure we create those opportunities for them.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up Braden Bennett because I can't wait to watch him play again. Huge that he's returning. Haven't got to see him play in a while, so it's going to be fun. You also have Reese White and CJ Beasley in the backfield, much like the receiver room. It's deep, it's loaded. But I did want to ask, like, what's personally your favorite concept to utilize?
Pass game or run game?
Let's go pass game.
Okay. Well, there's I got one that's always been true to me, and then there's one that's growing on me. But pass game wise, just air raid 101, white cross. It's great play. Never gets old. But the one that thanks to Coach Beck, because Coach Beck's baby is just four versions of four verts. That a lot of places you're like, well, how do you read it? And actually there's a few different ways to read four verts and how they do it. And with Coach Beck's rules, it's probably cleanest and easiest I've been around. And the variations off the four verts, right? So between variations off those plays, I mean, there's just you can have a whole downfield passing game just off those plays and the variations. So, and for the quarterback, it's the same. For the wideouts, they know. So those plays are like, I guess, old faithfuls, right? Not again, anybody listening in, I got to play more in the bag, but those were saying if you had to start, hey, if you got two pass game concepts drop back to have a pass game off of, what would they be? And those would be the two, because all the things you can do off of them are it's going to be good versus about whatever you're going to get, or you're going to at least get a one-on-one somewhere.
How often do you spend time just drawing up new innovative plays, trying something different that could maybe get copied by someone else in this copycat sport?
Who am I copying off of? I mean, it's look, I give credit where credit's due. I don't sit there and say, hey, I got this or I got like I look around. I've got trick play tape, and my buddies in the coaching profession know this. I got trick play tape that started in 2012. It's got over like 285 plays on it. I take it to every spot I'm with, so it's like they bust out like I've got I mean, I got Gus Malzahn Arkansas State stuff on that. Like it's so I have oldies but goodies, and then I'm always looking at what people are doing that fit. I mean, there's things that people there's so many creative minds out there now that are just so good at what they do, and we'll create too. We got some stuff here that we're doing. I think that's pretty neat, and unique, but there's no one's really truly creating new plays. It's just how to do these plays before that's been done, maybe different ways. And and so we're all studying, and I'm always trying to see like who's really good and just hey, getting guys touches, who's really good in downfield shots, who's really good at that. And each week, even in season, having like one of our analysts just cut up like, hey, I call PD professional development like 30, 40 plays of hey, some of these teams did this past week, thought they were relatable. Hey, this is a really neat way to run this play we already have, versus this kind of defense, those kind of things. So if we're not already thinking it up, hopefully we're on other people's stuff too, but which I think we did some pretty cool stuff last year with given with what we had to be, so when I say that where I was at last year, but now, it's copycat league across the
Mhm.
board, but I mean there's no shame in that game. Like at the end of the day, it's really just application because a lot of people try to run it, but do they run it as good as it needs to be done? So but yeah, like I said, it's I'm always trying to be on the front end of what's giving people problems and people are taking advantage of offensively every year.
And even if like something you drew up was to be copied and you saw it happen, it's got to be like a proud feeling, like it's something really good that someone else thought was really good. They got to using it.
Well, that happened last year. So against Temple, we ran a crossbuck play, which has been around college football for a long, long time. Like it is, I didn't invent it. Trust me. And but we dusted off and ran it, and then 2 weeks later, and we scored on it, and I think it made like either Dan Casey or somebody shout to them, spread offense or somebody on Twitter put it out there. And then 2 weeks later, now I don't know if it had anything to do with it. Maybe already in their arsenal, but I saw the Cowboys run it. So whether or not it was off us, I don't know. But and I told myself, I know this. I told the players, hey, look, they ran this. Hey, we scored just 2 weeks ago, so maybe
doing
somebody's
something
watching,
right.
or maybe. So who knows? But like I said, that's the beautiful thing about sport. There's a lot of really good minds out there. There's really good players. So, I respect all offenses. I love watching them all. So it's fun.
Yeah, I remember like I'm so glad too that you brought up the trick play stuff because I remember as a kid when we played football, not to brag or anything, but all-time quarterback here, brick hands, but could definitely throw. I just be drawing up plays and trick plays and stuff, and I always wanted to see like a fake kneel used at the end of a half and just sprint downfield in some trickeration. And
Oh
seeing
yeah,
Tulane pull that off against Houston a few years ago made me so proud. Hey man, if you ever need a play drawn up from me, got you covered.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm listening to everything. Doesn't mean I won't use it, but I listen to everything.
I'm also a big believer in like start. I want every time I'm watching a game, first game of the year, first play of the game, I'm begging for just play action, deep ball, vertical, just go for it all, go for a touchdown, first play of the game. You should do that against UCLA. They ain't listening.
Yeah, yeah. It's try not to think about them just quite yet. I'm trying to make sure we're focused on our guys' this first 2 weeks, and then we'll transition to the UCLA uh, football team here a little bit, and that's going to be a challenge in itself. But yeah, but every game we got this year, I mean, there's going to be good players, good coaches. So
Definitely. Got a few more questions for you before we get you on out of here. So I ask every player that I speak with this about just film and what the first thing is that they look for on their upcoming opponent to, get an advantage on the defense or the offense, whatever position they play. What are you doing when you're looking at a defense?
first off, trying to find out who's going to give us a matchup advantage. So maybe somebody that we can take advantage of, and then who's going to give us a massive matchup disadvantage, like who, hey, we're going to have to account for this guy, right? And so there may be a play structurally, like, yeah, I like this play, but then if I know this guy is going to blow that dude up and he's just better than us, then that's not going to work, right? So really the people aspect first, then the structural aspect of, all right, what's this coordinator want to be in situations, regular D&D and all the other situations they have. Then what are their what are their what's their beliefs, what they want to do, and then what are their answers. And then you kind of see like what teams have done to them, and like every team's coordinator, whatever happens to them, they spend the correction tape time to get it corrected. So you got to know what the answer is to that, and really just so once you have an idea of who they are, player wise, who can help you, who can hurt you, and then structurally wise who they want to be and what are their answers, then you go into like, all right, then how do we do what we do? Like, how do we run what we run? What variations of it? What aspects of it? So then our guys can play fast and be their best selves. And so and then you find ways that how you get certain guys the ball, right? So it's really kind of that simple. And I say that there's lots of depth and levels to it, but that's really essentially what we try to do.
So I have a question that I've always wanted to ask a coach about going for it on fourth and short or punting. Like, what is that discussion like in the heat of the moment? And are you always gunning to go for it as an offensive mind, or are there times where you like maybe we should punt?
That's a head coach's decision, and if I'm ever in that seat, then I'll be the one making that call. My job, where like I'm as a coach's kid, I'm very, my dad's military, so like I'm very like yes sir, whatever, not prepared. So I've got to be prepared for it, and so whatever I'm asked to do, I got to get done.
Hmm.
Right? It doesn't matter. You can have, like I know, like last year, going last year, like 14 scholarship players out. No one cares. They want the production. They want to win. You want like no one's going to hear your set song. No one cares. It's 4th and 4, and we just did this. You didn't tell me I had 4 downs. No one cares. Get it done. So to me, I kind of become numb to all that. So if you say, Coach, he said, hey, go for it, then you go for it, and I'm good, And so like whatever is the decision made, like I'm gonna ride with it. And so, but for most part, we know usually when it's 1st and 10 of that series, like hey, hey, it's hey go at 4. So like if it's 4th and 4, we can go or less, you can go for it. So we kind of have an idea, but always prepared for if you get the hey, let's do this. All right, cool. All right, let's go. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of the world it is. Because if you get emotionally tied up into it, then I think there's a piece of that. But for me upstairs, I just, whatever's told, then I adjust and go.
All right, for sure. How about some off-field interests that you have?
Big movie guy, big movie quoter. Um, love movies, love quote movies. Uh, uh, I listen. Uh, like I said, I got some interest recently. Again, like I said, there's a best way to put this. Love movies, love TV shows that are like good, solid shows, Succession and things like that. Um, that's when me and my wife, when I come home, we can actually sit down and watch and kind of be able to catch up on our days. And anything with my kids and my family, right? So when I come home, like it's awesome when the kids are still up and be able to see them and hug on them and love on them. But you know, being a father and a husband, that's like regardless of what happens with football, like that's the best thing ever to be able to come to the house and see them and smiling and all that. So that's definitely passion. But the selfish ones of like, all right, when the kids go to bed, it's movies and TV shows is kind of my thing. Like, college the video games, you ain't got they were talking about man, ain't got time to do that. So but no, those would be it.
All right, what's the BAM up there? What's that mean?
Oh, be a man. It's Joe Moglia. Yeah, that's the Joe Moglia team rules when Coach Moglia was here. And that's something that this program was built on uh, during Coach Moglia's tenure. And Coach Moglia is still around, right? So we make sure our guys, we still abide by those I guess you could say standards, and it's been good. Like I said, you always respect the past wherever you've been at and learn from it and build on it, right? And that's one of those foundational things that Coach Carolina football will always be relevant.
All right. Last question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
If I'm here, I'm good. I'm happy. If I'm here, I'm happy. I'm doing what I love, loving what I do with who I do it with. And like I said, that's the thing. You try to look forward. You never know. Best thing you can do is just put your head down and and be where your feet are and do your best for today. And then the next thing is just stack days and get everything got to where you're at. All the other stuff will happen. I mean, moving ain't always what's cracked up to be. I mean, everyone's got to do what's best for them and their families. I get that. And that's kind of the world we're in now, both coach and player wise. And but for me, I don't ever like if something comes up, then we'll address it. But hey, if I'm here in 10 years doing what I'm doing now, good. That means we're winning. That means we're having success. That means my kids are getting able to grow up in a great area, great town in Conway and right next to Myrtle Beach and and we'll be living at the beach, which ain't a bad thing at all.
For sure. I actually thought of one last question. I brought up to a linebacker who was a draft prospect in last year's draft. Am I an absolute maniac for thinking that I could go out there with a QB sneak concept offense and win a football game?
Just QB sneak.
It's a QB sneak concept offense, yes, with like everything is based off of a QB sneak, whether it's going down the middle like the Eagles do, or and how they do it, or you're veering off left and like sneak form and turning it into an option, or you're working off into a pass game. Like I think that there's something there, but I might be a maniac.
I think if you just pull up Army and Georgia Tech Paul Johnson,
fair.
you may be right. You might be all right on the track.
No, that's a little fair.
Yeah, but I tell you, like I tell you again, today's game is crazy with the type of athletes that they have up front, and just in general on defense. You know, there's just absolute creatures over there nowadays, and both of them come all shapes and sizes. But that's why, yeah, I bring that up because like some of my favorite football to watch. I remember like when I was, when Coach Johnson was at Georgia Tech, was like if there's a Georgia Tech game on Thursday night, you were able to come home and see it. Like I'd watch it just because they did it so well. It was a machine,
It was
and
immaculate.
yeah, I respect all of them. I respect all offenses. I think everybody tries to do a great job. Everyone tries to do, be good at what they do. And I'm not one of those guys that ever says, "Oh, well, I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in that," because you never know. You know what I mean? And football's, it seems to be circular in the sense of like what trends happen and what people start focusing on and all those things. So again, but yeah, who knows, man? Have at it. Have someone hire you. Right. Start at the local. I would do this. Start at the local middle school and then start working your way up and see how it works out.
I don't even think I live in Vegas. I don't think we have any football in middle school out here.
There you go.
But I guess now that you said it and compare it to the option game, I guess in my mind it hadn't hit the fact that very reminiscent of just the option game.
Oh, you're just handing off the dive back instead of the quarterback.
Well, I can't thank you enough for speaking with me today, Coach Trickett. I wish you a lot of luck this season and in the future, and can't wait to see your product out on the field this season and beyond.
Same thing. Appreciate your covering us, and again, like when you bring light to our guys, and not only just the Power Five guys, but also everybody else in the game, both FBS and FCS, all that stuff's really good for the sport. It really is, and so really appreciate your coverage.
Can't thank you enough for saying that. Really kind words. And if you are still watching this, please make sure to like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it a lot. Comment below another coach or player that you think I or the rest of my team should interview, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.